tour buses. On my ranch road, I knew something was wrong the moment I saw dust clouds rising over the hills. By the time I reached the north gate, 2 oversized vans were parked in the ditch, their passengers spilling out, cameras flashing, kids climbing fences, and a tour guide with a microphone shouting about a once-in-a-lifetime safari experience. And there, standing proudly by the open gate, was Karen. She was dressed like some kind of safari host, khaki hat, binoculars slung around her neck, and a clipboard tucked under her arm. "Step right in, folks," she chirped. "This is the HOA's new safari adventure program. Real American ranch wildlife. Up close." I froze. My jaw clenched. That wasn't just any gate. That was the enclosure for my buffalo herd. Massive, unpredictable animals that I'd been raising for conservation purposes. And Karen had just opened it. "What in God's name do you think you're doing?" I shouted, striding up. Karen beamed at me, like I was some assistant late to work. "Oh, good you're here. Don't worry. I've got it all under control. I voted at the last meeting to use your ranch for community tours. It'll be great exposure. Besides, you've got all these buffalo. Might as well let the neighborhood enjoy them." I stepped between her and the gawking crowd. "These aren't petting zoo animals, Karen. They're dangerous. That herd weighs more than your SUV put together. If someone spooks them..." She cut me off with a dramatic wave. "Nonsense. I read online that buffalo are basically just big cows. Calm and gentle. You're being overdramatic. Now, step aside. You're scaring the guests." Right on cue, one of the teenagers in the group tossed a soda can into the enclosure. The metallic clang echoed, and 30 pairs of eyes turned toward the gate. The buffalo lifted their massive heads in unison. The biggest bull, Brutus, pawed the dirt. Karen clapped her hands. "Oh, look. Everyone, they're coming closer. Perfect photo opportunity." I didn't hesitate. I whistled sharp and loud, a command my dogs knew, and sprinted to the emergency lever by the fence line. With one pull, the gate swung wider, and the herd surged forward like a living storm. Karen's triumphant smile vanished as the ground began to tremble. What's happening?" she shrieked. "They're coming out," I said flatly. "You wanted a safari. You've got one." The crowd screamed as the buffalo thundered past, not toward the people, but down the road, straight into the open pasture where they belonged. My working dogs circled them expertly, guiding the herd away from the vans and back toward safe grazing. Karen, meanwhile, stood rooted in terror as Brutus passed within 10 feet, his horns glinting in the sunlight. One wrong move and she would have been a stain in the dirt. By the time the dust settled, the crowd had piled back into the vans, white as sheets. The tour guide muttered something about refunds and lawsuits before peeling off down the road. Karen was left alone, shaking, her safari hat crushed in her hands. I walked up slowly. "You opened my gate without permission. You trespassed endangered lives and harassed protected animals. Do you know what that adds up to, Karen?" Her voice quivered. I was just trying to help the community." "The sheriff will love that explanation," I said, pulling out my phone. 30 minutes later, Karen was in the back of a cruiser, babbling excuses as deputies took her statement. Brutus stood in the pasture behind me, snorting and pawing the ground as if to remind us all who really ran things out here. And as I leaned against the fence, I realized Karen had finally learned something important. You don't open gates you don't understand. Because on a ranch, gates aren't just fences. They're boundaries, and crossing them without respect, that's how you get trampled.